Welcome back to the Glassix Spotlight, where we bring you the brightest minds in shaping the future of customer experience. Today, we're thrilled to have a true pioneer in the field, Eckhart Boehme, joining us. Eckhart is the founder and managing director of Unipro Solutions GmbH and Co. KG and a former marketing excellence architect at Microsoft. With over 30 years of global experience in marketing, product management, and skills development, Eckhart has been at the forefront of transforming how businesses understand and connect with their customers. He is the creator of the Customer Progress Design, also known as CPD method, a groundbreaking approach that helps organizations identify customer struggles and develop targeted solutions. Rooted in the innovative jobs to be done theory, CPD leverages tools like the Wheel of Progress, which Eckhart co-developed to enable companies to systematically improve their customer experience even with limited resources. Eckhart's career is marked by his work with both startups and global giants like Microsoft, where he architected marketing training programs that have left a lasting impact. His vision is to make effective customer research accessible to organizations of all sizes, helping them not only meet but anticipate customer needs across diverse markets. Eckhart, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
It's our pleasure. Well, before we dive into our discussion today, is there anything exciting or a recent development in your work or even personal life that you think would be worth sharing with our listeners?
Oh yes, absolutely. There is one that I immediately can think of. My company has joined a partnership with an iPaaS company called Friends from Finland, and it's a technology company that helps to connect different data sources and automate processes. And they selected us as one of their partners, and we are the first non-technology partners who helps them to create even better outcomes of IT projects. And the purpose we are working together is that we want to increase the focus on customers, on human beings involved in IT projects and in organizations who have to kind of use new systems and make the transition much more smooth than before, because we have noticed that there's a strong technology focus and not so much a focus on the individuals who's affected.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Well, yeah, we're all about partnerships here at Glassix, actually. It is part of our go to market strategy. So, what we do with partnership is that we literally cooperate and partner with technology companies or system integrators or digital transformation companies. And they're not just reselling Glassix, they also developed integrations or customizations for their clients. Very interesting indeed. Yeah.
Great.
So, for our listeners today, today's episode called Closing the Customer Knowledge Gap Insights from Eckhart Boehme. And Eckhart, I want to start with the first question today. Your customer progress design, the CPD method, is known for helping organizations truly understand their customers. How can businesses use CPD to close the customer knowledge gap and ensure they're addressing the right needs?
Yeah, so I probably should step back a little bit and explain what the purpose is and what this term means, customer progress design. What we've seen over the years is that organizations have lost their customer focus. Many organizations want to be customer centric, yet they lack a definition what customer centricity really looks like. So after having worked with jobs we done theory over many years, we discovered that customers actually want to make a progress, not only in the situation when they have a need, but in general. when they have the first thought that they want to change something and acquire a new solution to lead a better life or to improve their own business. So this idea was born out of the revelation that there is a need for progress. And so when I designed this method called customer progress design, I wanted to have a term or a name for it that truly reflects a customer orientation, not a self orientation where I want to improve my business, create greater profits, and so on. No, it was supposed to reflect that the purpose, which I believe of an organization, is to help customers make progress. And so that's why I created this name. And your question, how it helps to close the knowledge gap, I first have to explain what the knowledge gap is that we have seen today. Organizations typically think they know their customers. They have lots of data. They do data mining. They have CRMs. They have all kinds of repositories of data. Yet they don't have the right data. And the right data, in my mind, is first of all to know what jobs customers want to get done in their life or in their business. And that is not always obvious because we know about needs, but we don't always know about the outcomes. A very practical example is like and probably everyone of your listeners knows this. Um, the example of the drill. Nobody really wants to buy a 5-inch drill. They want a hole in the wall. No, they don't want, actually, who wants a hole in the wall? They want to beautify their home because they want to kind of hang up a picture, or they want to make it more safe by attaching to the wall like a cupboard or something, prevent it for falling over. So we need to understand what's behind customer behavior. Why do they buy certain products? Why do they behave a certain way? And this is not always obvious. It becomes obvious slowly when you talk to customers, when you interview them. And so jobs to be done, or the jobs customers try to get done, is super important. And to know that at a very tactical level, but also at a very high level. So at a level where almost customers cannot express them, they automatically work towards that goal, but they cannot talk about it. Example would be when we did a research with children looking for care solutions for their loved one, elderly ones. We figured out it was not about finding a new place to live. It was about helping them to live the last phase of life in dignity. And that has a very, very different meaning. So this kind of data you don't get from any other sources than talking to customers, interview them, understanding their context, understanding their constraints, their pains, their gains, their thoughts and feelings. And this is really what we have built into the customer progress design, asking those questions, getting that information, and then structure it in. We need to structure that information to make it manageable, to make it usable, and because we want to combine the data from different interviews. How do you combine interviews? That in the past it has been really hard, because how do you in the world compare different or combine different stories? When you break them down into these data elements in like a customer job or a pain or a gain or constraint, you can do that. You can use like 10 different interviews and combine them into kind of one with a certain meaning. So to answer your question, that was a long-winded answer, I know. It's like, yeah, organizations can use that process to capture real insights about their customers and turning them into data. And we've done some before and after analysis of projects. And we discovered, for example, that only 30% of the items on average that an organization was aware of regarding to related to customers was validated in interviews. So 70, which means 70% of what they thought, which was admittedly plausible, was not found in interviews. Yet there was a huge area of data that was not the organization was not aware of, which we called a blind spot. So yeah, we had a combination of that huge blind spot that organizations didn't see, and on the other hand, a cognitive bias that you think certain things are true. So that was a long answer, I know.
No, I
Um,
think it's huge. And I think that the fact that organizations, or at least some of them that you have helped in conducting this research, um, have been in the shades for 70% of what they thought is happening. Um, I think that is a big revolution. So,
yeah, and it's not that they are wrong. I mean, everything is 100% plausible, but it's not reflected by customer interviews. They have other issues sometimes, and also there are typical things that you don't talk about. It even salespeople don't talk about constraints. They don't talk about typically gains. What were the gains that you achieved using a new technology? They talk more about like the pains. So there are a lot of data types that are typically not part of a conversation.
right. And let's talk a little bit about jobs to be done. So, jobs to be done theory is obviously central to your work. Can you explain how companies can use intact stories and real experiences to better understand what their customers are trying to achieve?
Yeah, so in order to understand the job to be done theory, it's not that complicated, but the term is a little bit could be a little bit confusing. It's like the job a customer wants to get done. A customer want to achieve a certain outcome, and that's what we try to understand behind the job to be done. Clayton Christensen, he has a great example of the milkshake. It's kind of one of the most popular jobs to be done examples. So why do people um, go to McDonald's at 9 o'clock in the morning? They park their car, they get their milkshake, they drive to work, and what they found out, it was not just to get kind of full and being kind of fed in the morning. It was about being entertained in the morning on their boring commute to work. And so it's looking behind the curtain, trying to understand what people want to accomplish. That is really what's behind jobs to be done. And why we use stories, we use stories of usually buying a product, acquiring a kind of a new product or service, because those stories provide us with rich context, with events like what triggered the first thought, what triggered the active search, what triggered kind of buying of the product. That's all in the stories, and they are intact stories. So you understand how these little things work together. In the B2B area, we tend to focus more on experiences. So when we interview customers about that, like their job experience, we get a lot of great data about also their jobs to be done, their pains and their gains. And then kind of through the back door, we try to understand how they wanted to make progress. Did they have a first thought that they want to acquire a new product that would help them? Did they take action? Maybe they changed something in their job. to make it better. So we always look for evidence. We never go into the future. We never ask any hypothetical question. It's all evidence based. So have you done this? And I think that's what makes our method so powerful, is that we are not speculating. We are not asking customers to speculate.
Yeah, I love that. And talking about methods, right? We previously discussed the customer progress design method, and now we talked a little bit more about the jobs to be done theory. And there's another one, the wheel of progress. I think this one you co-developed. How does this tool help organizations, particularly those with limited resources, systematically improve customer experience in a data-driven world?
Yeah, the wheel of progress was a result of an effort to make things easier to. There has been a lot of focus in the past on asking the right questions in customer interviews, which is admittedly, it's super important to ask really useful questions. But what do you do with the answers of customers? You need to, in order to be effective, you need a structure. So we created. We developed the wheel of progress over, I think, like 3 months, uh, starting with combining certain concepts like a timeline and the forces of progress, and put them on paper. And it was like a process over time that shaped the wheel of progress. And then I looked at it and I said, well, let's call it a wheel, because it's moving, it's moving forward. There's a hub in the middle of the wheel. If that is badly greased, if that's squeaky, then it doesn't want to turn. And so I put there the constraints. When you have lots of constraints in your life, or it could be also business life, it's hard to turn, it's hard to change because of these constraints. Constraints could be like your health, your financials, certain cultural context. It could be law and regulations. It could be also time. There are temporal constraints. You have like only 5 minutes to do something, to buy something, or to perform a customer job. And then we had also in that structure of the wheel 4 phases that we wanted to focus on and put the data in, that later on would companies help to address these data elements and help customers make progress in each of these 4 phases. The first phase, they could help customers to um, end procrastination, because we know procrastinating is not good. Sometimes it can hurt later on, or it can create a regret. So if I just had done this 3 years ago, I would be in a better place. They could focus on data elements that would help them to help the customer to explore the uh, solution space. They could help customers to make the right decision. They could build the right product or service. So that's how we settled on 12 data elements at the center. It's customer jobs with their pains and gains. Then we have a layer of context that is triggering events, constraints, and solutions the customers hired. And on the outer ring, we do have, it's like an onion. On the outer ring, we have all the thoughts and emotions that drive or hinder customer progress, like habits that keep you where you are. You have pushes that want to move you forward. You have desired outcomes. You have avoidances. So when you think about the future, what do I want? And what do I want to stop? Or what do I want to avoid in the future? And then you have something related to a new product. That what are the things that attract you, that pull you over? And what are the anxieties keeping you from buying the new product? So we have all these struggles throughout that customer journey. And that's what we cover in the last or the third layer of our model, and that consists of the 12 elements of customer progress design that we capture with the wheel of progress. And when you learn the skills to listen and then also to sort the items, then you can do it very, very quickly. So there's no backlog of weeks of interviews that you need to analyze. It's almost like when you have trained people that are trained for listening and capturing the notes, you can do it like in real time. So after you've done 45 minutes of interview, you have like 15 minutes where you clean up the data, and then you're done, and then you can move to the next phase. So I've done, my record was like 7 interviews a day, including evaluation, and then you have the data there. And the next step would be, of course, aggregating the data.
Wow. That's very impressive. And before we jump into our next question, I have to ask you if there is because while you were talking, I was realizing that you're probably doing the same and you're implementing those principles for your current customers at Unipro. So I was wondering if there is any specific segments that you guys prefer to serve, or you're more of like a, you know, agnostic company that really helps any types of company that is looking to implement those principles.
The latter is true. Yes, our tool is universal. You can say it's like an operating system, as I can use it for any kind of purpose. One of my first projects was with Fraport, the German airport that owns several airports worldwide. So we did something in the air freight for their air freight unit. I've done projects for financial institutions, for banks, for software startups, for government agencies. It's very broad because we are all human beings and we all have the same issues moving forward. So it's really about understanding people, human beings, and focus on helping them to make progress.
Right. And well, having worked with both startups and large corporation like Microsoft, what unique challenges do these different types of organization face when implementing customer-centric strategies? And also, how does CPD addresses these challenges? So let's say, for example, you see that, you know, there is like one, two, or even three common, let's say, repetitive challenges. How does, first of all, what are these challenges, and if there are any, how does, you know, CPD addresses them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like all the questions have been great, but this is one that I that is really near
we're
and
we're,
yeah.
we're trying our best.
Yeah. So having worked with really enterprise companies and startups, the issues are very, very different. And when you work with an established company, of course they have their business model, they have their products, they have huge organizations that often work in silos. So we have the marketing department, we have product development, engineering, we have research and development, we have sales, we have all kinds of organizations. Yet often they don't use the same repository of insights. In fact, they often do their own research. And so everyone is doing their own research, right? And they create their own strategies. So with our model, we have one in our 5-step model or phase model. We do have one step where we bring in all the stakeholder organizations and to prioritize these customer jobs that I talked about. And this is it's a super important step. It's the step where the magic happens, when you have all the stakeholder organizations at the same table, looking at the same list of customer jobs, using rational criteria. So we are using Alexander Osterwalder's benefits matrix, using 4 criteria to evaluate customer jobs. So how important do we think they are? How tangible are they? How satisfied are people with executing the customer job? And how attractive is that customer job for our organizations to take on? Are there lots of people who would pay a little, or maybe there are a small amount of people who would pay a lot? It's financially viable for our organization. And then the end result is a list of customer jobs that everyone agrees on. It's not agreeing on the how we solve the problem. That will be the next step. But it's agreeing on the problem, so to speak, the customer job that we want to take on. Because not all customer jobs are equal. And large organizations can use this methodology, working in, for example, in 2 different teams. One works the list of customer jobs from top down, the other one from bottom up, and then they compare results, and then they ask themselves questions. Why did you assign like 4 points to the customer job in terms of importance, and why did the other group only one? So you have these really productive conversations about the subject of customer jobs. And in the ideal world, then you arrive at that one list that everyone agrees on. And they almost have to, because they were involved in making the decision what customer jobs to prioritize. So this tears down the silos, that brings in people together, really aligning them around the customer job. And that is, from my perspective, that's utmost powerful. In small organizations like startups, you don't have these issues. Startups have more the challenge that they have a solution maybe in place, they have a technology, and they need to look for the right use case. Which is the best use case? For example, I had one company that I worked with. They developed a 3D virtual reality software, so you can create
Nice.
shapes like the shapes of cars in a three-dimensional room, and then you could discuss it with your colleagues from, let's say, you have the engineering department in Stuttgart, you do have design in San Diego, and then you have production maybe in China or in Japan, and you could bring in all people together to look at the shape, discuss it, and then come up with kind of the best shape for the new car. And but that was a use case that we discovered after we did the interviews, because for their technology they could have chosen another use case which may not have had the same level of pains, or the same level of outcomes. So for startups, I would say the benefit is really having a clear understanding of the landscape of customer jobs and where are the most useful jobs to apply for, how we call it in jobs we done language, for applying for the right job.
Yeah. And I know we're almost hitting the end of the episode, so I have to blend in some AI questions here.
Mhm.
Because by the end of the day, we're mainly focusing on customer experience and AI. And obviously, AI is an integral part of customer experience in 2024 and beyond. And I have to ask this. I think, with your extensive background in global marketing, what role do you see AI playing in bridging cultural differences and tailoring customer experiences across diverse markets? I mean, if there's like an example or even a few that you see
Mhm.
where AI plays a crucial role in this.
Well, in my world right now, where we are most heavy on understanding customers. It would be using AI to create better understanding of the diversity of customers. And we built our own AI companion that helps us to evaluate customer interviews. They help us to distinguish these 12 elements that I talked about. And so what it really does, it helps organizations um, to make the customer interviewing and evaluation process much more effective, especially when you don't have the trained people like I am. Over the years, of course I'm trained asking the right questions and understanding the answer and making a quick decision. But many people are not in that place. They need assistance. So
And
AI.
I have to stop you because the curiosity just killed the cat. I have to ask you, so what about accuracy? Because you mentioned effectiveness, which is a vital an important element in making AI to succeed. What about accuracy?
uh, uh, Accuracy is absolutely a super important topic. I mean, first, I mean, we as human beings, we looked at that 12 elements model, and we as human beings, we had to make sense of it. Are they really mutually exclusive? So when we started our experiments with AI, I was kind of skeptical. I was skeptical. Can AI really be as accurate as we need it in our projects? And I would say I was kind of blown away. I was blown away the first time we we tried. Not to say that it was like it was not perfect, but it was really good. And I think it's because we trained our engine and we used really thought out definitions of these items. In otherwise, it's like garbage in, garbage out. If you have bad definitions, it can be the data you get back can be anything. But the main advantage in my mind was like the completeness, because you can be a very quick writer when you do interviews and you take notes. It can be very quick, and you can be but you're not perfect. You're missing things. And AI is almost, our AI engine, it's like a third person sitting next to you and listening and providing sometimes a different definition of what was said by the customer. So that was really interesting. Like, oh yeah, there is someone who has a slightly or maybe a kind of bigger different opinion about what was said. And then you start to reflect. And I think maybe it's not, maybe you cannot really achieve 100% accuracy. At least it provides you with some input and like another opinion to make up your mind and then making the right decision. So AI has been for us a really nice tool. uh, Again, but we are using our own data. We are not using data that's in the public, because we believe there is value in these intact stories that we hear. It creates ultimate trust because we were the ones gathering the data, and we know exactly where the data came from, but using the AI to help us structure the data, and later on, hopefully, also to help us with aggregating the data.
Yeah, I love that. I think that the fact that you're using your OData has its own pros and cons. More pros actually, because this is obviously a reliable data. You're not using any third party. You're not even using generative AI data, like the likes of ChatGPT, for example. And I think it's very powerful because then the data is 100% trustworthy, and you can take 100% responsibility if anything goes wrong. And this is I think one of the best pros I can think of top of mind right now.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. I mean, you know where the data came from, and you know that it's about human beings. It's about our relationship with other human beings. So I think it's just fair that we do the work because we want to serve people, to talk to real people.
Yeah. And for our bonus question right now, I know we touched previously on the customer progress design method. And I have to ask this because I think it's a very interesting, fascinating world. If you could add one futuristic feature to the customer progress design method, leveraging AI, what would it be and why?
Yeah, it's amazing. AI is amazing. AI is amazing. When we use our companion and we project all the data on a wheel of progress and we export it to a mural place where we can massage the data, where we can aggregate it, and so on. One place that is still it's rudimentary in built in, but which is super helpful and powerful is to create ideas. So based on your analysis of customer interviews, if there was an option that you can press a button and say create like a 5 post LinkedIn campaign that helps people to understand the benefits of your product, that uses real data, that uses real stories, that is storytelling is one of the most powerful vehicles you can use in marketing, and that would be awesome. You can use it for marketing. I think you can use it also in sales, because if we can equip salespeople with aggregated data, or even customer stories, examples, quotes, and so on, then you can be so quick to market. It's like unbelievable. It's like almost an instant marketing campaign. I think you can, like, maybe you get the data back from the AI engine, you look over it, you copy paste it, and then you can almost kind of put it out there and see what happens if it resonates. So I think the speed to get to market, based again on real data, on the data that you create, that you trust in, that's incredible, and that would be that killer feature for me.
Yeah, I love that. And Ikard, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we just finished our 32 episode of the season 2, the Glassix Spotlight. Anyone is looking to gather more CX insights or want to go deeper into the woods with Eckhardt's revolutionary methods enhancing customer experience, I urge you to follow his LinkedIn. He's very active there. Eckhart, thank you so much for joining us today.
Ron, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure, and as I said, a great honor to be here on your show.